here we are, another episode of Footballland.
Hello.
Hello. That was Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan's there.
I'm here.
Saying hello.
Yeah.
Anthony, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Hello, and it's
Hello.
lovely and sunny here.
Where?
Where are you?
I'm in Hawaii.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Hawaii?
Aloha from Hawaii.
But why in Hawaii?
Yeah. Well, it's not that far away from Tuvalu.
I'm working my way around the other way just so I don't lose a day. You don't want to go backwards, do you, through the international date line? You go forwards. And also, once again, I just want to see what the state of football's like in Hawaii, whether we've missed a trick here. And again, the answer's no. The answer's no.
No.
We haven't missed
Are
anything.
you dicking on their local side? Where are they in the FIFA rankings?
Well, they're a state in America, so they're probably 13th in the FIFA rankings, around 13th or 14th.
I see what you did. It's not a separate country, is it?
No.
Did it ever used to be a separate country?
Don't know. Probably.
It must have been, because it is a series of islands.
Yeah, it was a separate country, but it's kind of American imperialism, isn't it? Where they just kind of keep hoovering up bits. Waikiki Beach in Honolulu is all man-made. They imported the sand from California and from some of the other islands. And as a result, it's just covered in algae. It's not. It used to be swamp. All of Honolulu used to be a swamp, and that it was cheap, so they built on it. And that's Hawaii. Yeah. And
Blooming shame, isn't
not
it?
really
It's a real shame.
a footballing culture, no.
It's a blooming lovely place, though. And,
sunny.
So
I'll
sunny.
give it that.
And, I'm having a lovely time. So don't take that away from me, please.
Are the locals bellends like they were in Tuvalu?
No, they're lovely people. I'm just going to look up to see if there's any Hawaiian soccer players that I can just tap up while I'm here. And the answer is Brian Ching, who plays for Houston Dynamo, Natasha Kai, Stephen McCarthy, who plays for San Antonio FC, and Zach Scott, who plays for Seattle Sounders. So, there's some strong pedigree of players there, and we can tap them up for our CONCACAF region.
Yeah.
Well, shall we press on with pitching ideas? Let's have one more week of pitching ideas, and then we start building.
Then we'll start building. Okay. All right, here we go.
Welcome to Footballland.
Just what is it that you want to do? We want to go Footballland. And we want to have a good time.
Okay, so I believe I'm to go first this week. Is that right?
Yeah.
I am going to pitch the Quadruple Loople.
Oh.
We've had a bit of a run on new roller coasters, so I don't want to stop that momentum. Roller coasters are everyone's favourite thing in a theme park. Am I right? I think I'm right. This is inspired by Liverpool's near miss at the end of the 21-22 season. Everyone started talking about the quadruple, and they fell short. They fell short to the tune of 2, which is quite a long way to fall short, especially as the two main ones, the Premier League and the Champions League, were the two that they failed to win. They still did an open-top bus parade, which is kind of impressive stroke mad. So this is a quadruple loop, and I know those exist in the world of roller coasters, but this one, when you get on it, you don't know if you're going to complete all 4.
That's
you
good.
might run out of steam before you get through the 4th. And the thing that's powering this, I want to rewind to my own childhood and see if either of you remember this, although I'm older than both of you. I can't remember what it was called, but it was made by Matchbox, the same people that made the miniature cars. It was like a racetrack that you could build loops on. Yeah. It was made of plastic, and it had edges so that the cars would stay on the track.
Always wanted one. Never did.
But the thing that powered them through the loops and around the track was kind of like a car gun. I would think they stopped making these very early on because they were so dangerous. So you put the car in this kind of garage thing, and then you had a setting on the roof between 1 and 10. And if you selected 1 and pressed the button, it kind of powered a spring inside, but powered it very lightly, so it would just kind of dribble out the end and not get anywhere near the first loop. Whereas if you put it on 10, it would be so fired up that it would just come out of the little box thing and just miss all the track and just slam into the wall.
Yeah.
And or your sister, if she was watching what you were doing.
You don't want to slam into your sister.
No, not with a Dodge Challenger. And I remember not even attaching this to the track and just going outside and firing cars at people. But I'm intrigued at powering a roller coaster that has the potential to do 4 loops and powering it in a random way that you don't know how far you're going to get. You might do 1, you might do 2, you might do all 4. You might not even get through the first loop.
Ooh.
So what
And
happens
I'm
if you don't? You just sort of hang around at the bottom of the loop and you have to get off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any danger that you get stuck at the top of a loop?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
Definitely. I mean, Liverpool failing to win the Premier League by 1 point, that's almost doing that loop, but crucially not.
Well, so you just sort of hang upside down and get off that way?
Yeah, I think you'd need to be rescued if you stop upside down. You probably need to get off and get on a ladder and face the trauma and the indignity of that kind of exit.
It's interesting that, you say Liverpool failed to win the Premier League. 19 other clubs did as well. Or 18
but they were the only other team apart
did.
from City that could have won it.
Well, not at the beginning. I mean, I don't think Liverpool were, there was a massive gap at one point. They never led the league. I get that the quadruple was, something to fill column inches and airspace, but was it ever on? I don't know. They were chasing.
But they were top of the league on about the 80th minute of the game, weren't they? No. City had already.
No, Villa couldn't do a job for.
You need to
Liverpool.
hype up the queue into believing that it's possible. I don't think the quadruple is ever possible. So you need to hype up the belief is there, and you need to show that the exit is only at the end of the 4th loop. So when people are sort of getting out, it's just there. On every roller coaster, there's kind of like a safety sort of emergency sort of platform along the whole thing. So if it breaks down anywhere, you can just get off and go to the left.
So what sort of powers this ride is hope and delusion.
Yes, and that's what I'm.
But that's the most powerful power, isn't it?
Delusion. Yeah.
Dreams, people's dreams. I mean, I was thinking about collecting data on when you buy the ticket, and it's fired by the hopes and dreams and disappointments of the people on that specific version of the ride at that time. What is the best manifestation of that? Is it funnier to have 50 people riding who are all incredibly confident and positive to watch them have to crawl out after the second loop? Or is it more rewarding for us as patrons of the park to have some real grumpy pessimists that have never had any joy in their lives, and they do 3. They still have to get off before that. I mean, like Anthony says, the quadruple's never possible.
Schadenfreude is a very powerful and entertaining kind of beast. I think spectators are more interested in that. So in that case, would be kind of the queuers. The quadruples rarely are.
I mean, Liverpool's was the longest that the quadruple is even mathematically possible for, which sort of makes it funnier, does it? That it lasted that period of hope and genuine belief, stroke delusional, like hallucinogenic mindlessness. It lasted into the last day of the Premier League.
I guess the best way to sort of power this and stop it from happening is that the loop is angled slightly upwards so that gravity stops you. That's like the inevitability of sort of logic is gravity, isn't it? You can't argue with gravity.
But it can't be the same each time. So it can't be a design feature of the roller coaster, because quickly people would stop having any hope that they're going to do 4. But
I think the power of delusion at the start, when people get that big mallet and try and hit down on a bell or something, and then the thing goes up at carnivals, and they think they're going to get the top, and they never do hit the bell. There's still people will be willing to beat gravity, and with enough hot air. Is it powered by the hot air of the fans in the queue? Is it hot air that powers it? And that hot air, if you blow enough into a tube, which powers you, the harder you blow, the further you'll get, but you'll inevitably come short. But you'll always think
it's
you
a
could get there.
self-propelled in this high-tech park that's the likes of which have never been seen before. That encompasses time travel and temperature control. You get on a roller coaster and you have to blow in a tube.
Yeah,
Otherwise it doesn't go
And
anywhere.
the whole key blows in a tube.
There's a
maybe it plays a tune like a melodica.
There's maybe like a trick to it, isn't it?
Deflating "You'll Never Walk Alone," but it's a really shit.
Yeah, you've got to almost circular breathe to kind of keep it going, because that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you've got to not set off too quickly, otherwise you're very going to quickly run out of breath. You've got to do a really long. It's like when sometimes you make a really long noise that just keeps going and you can't believe how long that noise keeps going, and you just keep going, and you're the only one having fun. Everybody else wants you to stop making that noise. But
that's how I imagine with didgeridoo sometimes as well.
Yeah,
it's like the fun is
exactly
in the
what
playing
didgeridoo is.
Yeah.
I only realised recently how they do the trumpet sort of circular breathing thing, and it's that you breathe in through your nose and you force your cheeks together. Like, that's how you blow out. So you go like, and then you go like, so imagine, when you do this with your cheeks and you go like that. It's a bit like that.
Yeah. But how do you inflate the cheeks again?
You through your nose. So you're breathing
in through your nose. How do you inflate your cheeks through your nose? You can't inflate your cheeks through your nose, though, because it goes into your lungs, not down in your mouth.
Well, then your
cheeks aren't in your lungs.
Yeah, but you force that breath back into your cheeks, and then you squish your cheeks together, and that's how you do circular breathing. Yeah,
that's really interesting.
None the wiser about the anatomical accuracy of that.
I'd like to talk to the greatest jazz player ever, Robert Louis Stevenson.
Yeah, he wrote "Kidnapped" and he wrote "Treasure Island" with massive cheeks permanently, cheeks permanently inflated.
I mean, some of these guys that play the trumpet, right? If you YouTube it, because it's quite fun, their cheeks expand so much that it's actually started to go into their necks, and their necks start expanding too. And you got these guys sort of playing the trumpet like a bullfrog. If you've got a spare afternoon, Google it.
Look at massive bullfrog necks on trumpeters.
But we might want to ban those people from this ride, because if anybody plays the trumpet, they're definitely.
But there can't be that many of them. Even if all of them got on the ride at the same time, I don't think it would be enough to power them through 4 loops.
Right.
Well, no, exactly, and that's the problem. They think they do.
What's emerging here? Yeah, absolutely. They have to think they do. What's emerging here is that this is far more fun to watch than Beyond.
Well, exactly. That's what it is. The fans, the cynics are loving watching it fall apart. But every cynic would be slightly worried that it could happen. There's got to be that level of jeopardy that it nearly does happen.
Yeah. But you know that you're most likely going to be rewarded with some fantastic entertainment of loading in a cartload of mindless twats who are all blowing like their lives depend upon it, and failure is inevitable. I think this is...
And making silly noises, a bit like
astonishing.
When people can't blow up those long balloons and they just end up going like...
Yeah.
Just...
It should be amplified and roughly... So those noises are roughly forming "You'll Never Walk Alone."
Yeah.
Very roughly.
And I think that's what attracts people to the ride, because it's sort of hidden, and you see the loops, but you never see any cars going around them, and people can just hear in the distance kind of a chorus of...
Yeah, and they all come off looking like bullfrogs. They've all got really bulging eyes and cheeks that are part neck, part cheek. I think we're ready to vote.
Let's have a vote.
All those in favour of the quadruple Loople being part of Footballland after 3 say aye. 3, 2, 1.
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations there, Mark. Solid.
Thank you. So we move on. Anthony, you've got something to pitch.
That's right. I love Martin Tyler, his commentary. He gets so excited about even the most sort of mundane Sunday game or Friday night or Monday night football game.
Does he ever comment on the Scottish League?
I don't know.
I imagine he'd draw the line at that, wouldn't he?
Possibly.
He'd draw the line.
He before he goes to the break, and it's live. So I thought
that to me is like fingernails down a blackboard. I hate that so much.
How about Martin Tyler's "It's Alive" Frankenstein experience? We give Martin Tyler an operating theatre full of corpses. Of corpses. Doesn't have to be people.
Well,
if we can draw the line at people, it can be animals. Animals and things. Yeah, and give him all of that. Give him as much electricity as he needs. And I imagine it like you're watching the snooker. There'll be an auditorium full of people just sitting there watching, sort of very silently, and just watching him at his work. And if he ever manages to get one of those things alive, that's when he can say, "And it's alive." And all he needs to do is to get a heartbeat. He just needs to get a heartbeat. He can use one of those resus machines. Could, I was thinking of maybe Martin Tyler as a paramedic around the place, but I think more as a Frankenstein, more of the, the creator of Frankenstein's monster, who was also called Frankenstein himself. Alan Tylenstein, just busying himself. We've got Claudio Ranieri's operating theatre. We have bits of body parts here and there. Just Martin Tyler, knock yourself out, mate. Spend as much time as you want. We've got unlimited funds for you. And just try and advance medical science a little bit. We had those
Tyler.
lads in the science lads who put that mouse's ear on its back, a human's ear on a mouse's back.
Yeah, on the back.
Do that. Or do whatever you want. Just create something, mate, with a heartbeat.
You've touched on experimenting, like creating a centaur and stuff. I slightly worry that, and I don't wish to cast aspersions. Martin Tyler may not be like this, but I sort of feel like he would be the kind to really play around with human centipede type stuff.
Yeah,
bum to mouth.
Yeah.
It's Alive would be something you dreaded hearing because what is going to come out of that laboratory.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because Anthony said, knock yourself out, and I envisaged Martin Tyler sort of taking a big huff of sort of laughing gas, sort of anaesthetising himself beforehand, so he's all sort of drowsy, and then just plays jazz with whatever's sort of before him.
Nightmarish, but
a
so
leg saxophone. Martin Tyler.
So vital to
or like a leg horn. So, like, instead of like a unicorn,
on a horse's forehead,
it's a leg, just on a horse's forehead.
So the faster they gallop, they'd be kicking themselves in the head with their own heel.
Yeah, and the danger would be, when people say, "Oh, don't walk around the back of a horse," it would also now be, "Don't walk around the front or back of a horse."
But who knows? He might have put legs on the side as well. He might have leg wings on the horse.
The crest of...
No. Yeah, he's got Pegasus all wrong.
Hey, Legasus.
The crest of the Isle of Man is four legs sort of going around in a circle, isn't it? From like one circle.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? So, to have Martin Tyler with just a bit of flesh, like a heart, and just grafting 4 legs to that, and just getting with the resus machine, that heart to start beating,
brain.
and those legs just wheeling around in a circle.
He could make the Isle of Man symbol come alive, and it'd just be like this Catherine wheel of legs just wheeling through Footballland.
Exactly.
With him cackling, "It's alive."
Could be one of the greatest footballers of all times.
Yeah. Shit at headers, though.
Yeah, but great at overhead kicks.
Commentators think they're God as well. They think they're the voice of God, looking down at the creation of God, but playing football. And I think Martin Tyler, if you gave him the option, would you say, your contract's coming to an end at Sky. Can you move to, Channel 4 of doing the internationals now for England? Would you like to move to there for 6 games a year at £1 million? Or would you like to have a lab in the Middle East and electricity and as many different organs and bits of pieces of different limbs and different animals to create life as God, what would you choose? And I think, he'd check what fixtures England were playing, whether they're doing Nations League as a World Cup year, but I think he would take creating a monster and shouting it's alive.
I think you're right. I think he would.
So basically, I think the audience will be horrified, but there'll be a certain revulsion to, there'll be an audience of horror fans who'll be sort of like into it. And just, that sort of, this is history, this is biological history in the making from Martin Tyler. With his, I imagine like he's got the headset of a TED Talk, he's got that thing so he can shout it's alive at any moment. He's got his hands free to meddle with these bodies and bits of pieces.
I imagined it a bit like one of those Victorian old operating theatres where I think they probably would have celebrated if anybody had survived their kind of surgery.
Yeah. They were all smoking, weren't they? Sat there and smoking all over someone whose leg was wide open, chest.
Yeah, just sort of using it as an ashtray. Under the belief that ash, because it was in soap, was, an antibiotic. I'd quite like it if it was, because it's got something of the freak show, the carnival kind of freak show, and the Victorian kind of. The Victorians liked going and looking at people that didn't look like regular people, and sort of were happy to pay money and point at that. I think if you kind of themed this as a bit of a slightly Victorian, in keeping with sort of Frankenstein, that people would definitely. It's a bit like one of those kind of experiments they do, where they're kind of the prison guard experiment. I think if you make people think it's Victorian, they'll be up for anything.
Does this already
exist? It's accepted.
Does this already exist? And
that is a good point. There are a few players like that when you're like, oh.
Yeah.
How's his lip doing that?
Half man,
I think
half camel.
It's got to be theatre in the round, like at the Crucible for the snooker. In fact, we can mock up the Crucible, put it in there, because Crucible, that's like the melting pot of humanity, isn't it? That word. So you could call it the Crucible, and you could fly out the snooker players to play a tournament out there just to get that sort of snooker history. But the rest of the time, Martin Tyler's doing his vivisection.
While they're playing snooker, he's like stitching a hoof onto Ronnie O'Sullivan's back, and they're so engrossed in the snooker.
There is that problem. Yeah,
don't pay any attention. Where did It's Live start? How did he come up with that? And who thought it was a good idea for him to carry on?
Yeah. And when was it never live? You know what I mean? That's the other.
Yeah.
Was it because previously there was the 6-second time delay on it, just in case anybody sort of swore, and then they got rid of that? So previously, it's time delayed. And I'm like, Martin, that's not that.
And it's pre-recorded.
Yeah. So maybe he pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed for Alive, so that now he can also do that. Oh, sorry if you caught any, bad language. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, a bit of extra legwork.
Catchphrases are fascinating, aren't they? When you say what you think you'll only say once, and then you're asked to say it 1,000 times. Martin Tyler, he probably didn't want to say it, and now he's got to say it. There's a degree of forcedness in it.
I think he loves it. I think he loves it. I think he's got no idea that 100% of the watching
we
public
incorporate
hate
this into to the Footballland experience in that he can only be released once he's got 10 living experiments. So
how long do they have to live for?
More and more. Oh, just a heartbeat, just a heartbeat, just a heartbeat.
Yeah, I was going to say
just
how
one.
long.
No, not just one.
Oh, okay.
Just like, they've got to live for 10 minutes. Or they've got to live for 90 minutes. They've got to live for 90 minutes, so it's like football. But yeah, so he'll be more and more excited.
This is Sean Wright Phillips's hair on legs, and it's alive.
For 90 minutes, just running around the auditorium in front of bored coughing snooker fans.
Smoking. You're only allowed in that Crucible if you smoke.
To go back to who would watch this, if at the snooker, you got a flyer saying, snooker, obviously, next year. Pre-book your tickets. Oh, by the way, Martin Tyler's bringing some creatures back to life. Like 20 quid. I think, you'd get enough people. I think word of mouth would.
Definitely,
I think word of mouth would get
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, there's enough time between, chalking the queue and, you know what I mean, like walking around the table a bit and really like eyeballing that shot. There's more than enough time to flick your attention over to Martin Tyler on the opposite table.
For the earlier rounds.
And both, everyone's watching really dispassionately, both.
Yeah, I don't think
just that's an interesting snooker there.
Yeah, I don't.
Where's he putting that leg?
Because surgery takes ages, just regular surgery, let alone, sew in a kind of a goat leg onto, a deer for antlers. That's quite nimble work. So I think you can flick your attention between the two. And,
I get it.
And Martin every now and then can dabble and could maybe, sew like a narwhal tusk onto like Ronnie O'Sullivan's head.
As a snooker player,
you'd
never know who was applauding, would you? You'd play a good shot and people would applaud and you'd be like, oh, that was a good shot. But then you'd look and Martin Tyler's just sewed an elephant's penis onto a hedgehog.
I think this would revive popularity in his catchphrase as well, because it would be quite rare. Most of the time you wouldn't hear, it's alive. You'd hear,
When would you just start again as well? When would you be like, nah, this one's got no life in it. There's no way this one's going to be alive.
No.
Because he'd have to...
I thought this kangaroo would love having legs for eyes, but...
it's fucked. No.
It's a bit like the time of death. There has to be somebody next to him going, come on, Martin, call it. Time of not life, time of not living, 1405, and then like Ronnie O'Sullivan's
so
just about to finish up his
all the
brain.
bits into a massive bin, and then gets a new delivery of more bits. Right, what can we do with this?
I wonder if we could sell some of these for taxidermy. While they might not live, they make a cracking
you could have Andy Gray
Christmas presents for hipsters.
All of the ones he fails, and he's just like, fuck that. That's not going to be alive. He could pass them to Andy Gray, who then stuffs them, and creates a museum exhibit, because Andy Gray's already out in the Middle East, isn't he? He's already there. So so he'll be up for that. We already got him doing something else as well that I can't remember. But him and Kesey, I think. They could do some sewing. Yeah, you're right. Well, his hands are so hairy that Martin Tyler might think that there's some sort of wildebeest legs.
Yeah, exactly.
I found wolf hands. No, that's
so. So there's plenty to think about. Yeah,
I think that's probably. I think.
I
think
let's
have
a vote. All in favour of Martin Tyler's "It's Alive," the Frankenstein experience at the Crucible Theatre on the table that's not being used by the players during the World Championship of Snooker in Sheffield, transported to Qatar. Say aye after 3. 3, 2, 1. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Firm aye.
Very good.
Ryan, you have something for us.
Yeah, I mean, so I mentioned it last...
Sort of.
I mentioned it last week that we've got a furniture repair shop run by Juan Sebastian Veron. That he'll buff not just your shoes, but he'll buff any kind of like armoire or kind of highly polished, nest of tables that you might have brought with you to Footballland. Juan's got that covered, and I thought that really, if people are bringing furniture to Footballland to get Juan to polish them, we should probably have a few more bits. Otherwise, it's going to look a bit strange. So, I've come up with the Mark Drapery. Now, Mark Draper might seem like a strange choice to kind of be the man to go to have your curtains and your soft furnishings made. But did you know that Mark Draper, when he retired, returned to his former club, Notts County, and for a short time became a kitman?
Yes, apparently he did.
I did know that.
Yeah.
He did. And so he knows his fabrics.
Yeah.
And I think that...
Does the kit man make the strips in? I thought they were mass-produced somewhere, but...
they sew them.
no,
They're tailors.
He's not making them.
They hand embroider all those sponsors on.
Yeah, but
the Bayo tapestry was actually meant to be a team's kit, but the tapestry just got overwhelmed by it. Yeah.
He does that thing where he takes the fabric between his sort of thumb and forefinger and rubs it like that. He knows whether he's overwashed. Yeah. He knows if he's put too much fabric conditioner in there, fabric softener. He's carrying, and that's going to affect the players. He was also at Notts County. He was tailoring. People don't know this. He was tailoring the kits to. So some players like their shorts a bit shorter, some like them longer. So he was taking
That's
them.
Lovely.
He was taking them in and out. So it's not just washing. I think people misunderstand that with kitmen. It's a full service.
At Premier League level, is any washing involved, or do they get rid of all the shirts once they're worn? If they're not thrown into the crowd at kids that are asking for them, then
I imagine at Premier League level, there's no washing involved. It's sort of got to the Leonardo DiCaprio rumor level of just burning all your clothes after you wear them. I think there's only one catch. Actually, that's not true. There's two catches with the Mark Drapery. The first is that he's got a very limited palette of clothes, sort of fabrics to choose from. You can only have sort of polyester, or you can only have that sort of, those bedspreads you get from club shops that have sort of stadiums or montages on them.
Yeah.
So you can either choose a kind of a footballing sort of polyester with that kind of 3D embossed on. You can have the kind of the footballing bedspread, or you can have that sort of. It's not a club official bedspread, but it's that fabric that you'd sort of get on the market or from like the co-op, and it just had sort of football figures on. You could get this in wallpaper as well. Very, very flammable. Lots of footballers looking a lot like table football figures, but if you get that sort of through the 70s to the early 90s, I don't know what's happened to that fabric now, but so they're the three fabrics you can kind of choose from. And the second catch is that Mark's not that bright. So there's a good chance you're not going to get what you asked for or anything at all.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
How far wrong can he go?
Very wrong. I think Mark might even just wander away mid sort of consultation and never return. There are some quite choice selection of videos of Mark Draper being interviewed sort of behind the scenes. There's a collection of old Villa videos that you can watch on YouTube that I would encourage everybody to go and watch. Mark Draper is not talked of very highly in the kind of on the intelligence levels.
Yeah.
But I think
this is all really interesting. I'll tell you how it could be just made even more exciting.
Oh, tell me.
So Mark Draper came out of retirement to play for a team called Dunkirk in 2009.
Non-league.
So
Yes.
could all of this been done while you're you're just frantically trying to cross a 5-mile stretch of water, trying to escape German gunfire?
Completely.
In a boat or, any way you choose. But,
yes.
You're trying to.
Well, that's how
evacuate.
you get to Mark. Mark has a floating drapery somewhere on the English Channel that we recreate at Footballland. And if you can get to Mark whilst kind of being shot at and bombed by the Luftwaffe, that if you can get to Mark, then he will engage his brain to make your kind of cushion covers. But
and they could be floating cushion covers, right? So you could actually get away on an inflatable,
very
drapered,
buoyant. Yes.
Buoyant
a bit,
cushion cover.
Yeah, a bit like in the olden days when your seat on an aeroplane was your flotation device. It very much like that. which in a normal house isn't a problem, but should your house ever get flooded, it might block your entrance or exit to the house as you try and escape the flood.
There is always a chair that your mum has a chair where no one's allowed to sit on, as if it's like some museum piece when it's just like a chair that she got for more money than she spent on the other furniture. So you're just not allowed to sit on that best chair. Because, and I feel like anything Mark Draper makes will be a bit like that best chair. It will be so valuable to anyone's household. And it'll have a story attached to it because it's floated you back along through the body of water that you nearly got bombed, traversing. So
you're not allowed to sit on it, but you can chuck it in the water and float away whilst being bombed.
Yeah, and then once you dried it out, that becomes your best chair.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's only after it's been used that you can never be used again.
Because it's got a story.
Who is playing the part of the German Luftwaffe here?
To keep it time relevant, probably Klinsmann. Who else was knocking around?
And is he actually
96?
trying to bomb you out of existence, or do we simulate that? How real?
I think he's just trying to prevent you from getting to Mark Draper because he knows how useless Mark is, and we've employed him to basically stop people getting to Mark because
so the Luftwaffe are helping
you. He
you.
won't fulfill the orders.
Right.
Yeah. No, he's helping.
So if
that makes us the Nazis,
IQ
right? Though that's the only problem.
As low as you say, if Draper's IQ is as low as you say, would he understand what's going on?
Mark has no idea what's going on. Every now and then, some people just turn up to his boat and ask for some curtains.
Whilst Klinsmann circles overhead.
Yeah, and he's only too happy to oblige because of the circumstances. But if it were not for the ongoing simulated war, he would probably just wander off.
He is doing it for the war effort. Keep saying Blitz Blur while he embroiders your
Yeah, well, it's like there was all those different drives, for like iron. They cut down railings, they reclaimed car tires for rubber. They did all this stuff. Mark's doing fabric drives, but again, only very specific textiles. He just wants that really staticky polyester that's kind of embossed, and then those two other football fabrics.
Very good.
Okay.
So
wonderful.
I think, I might vote against this one myself. But let's give it a go. Let's see which way the wind blows on the channel.
Okay.
All those in favour of the Mark Drapery World War II experience and curtains and soft furnishings service, say I after 3. 3, 2, 1.
Aye.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
No. You do have a habit of nailing your... It is still in there. You do have a habit of nailing your own idea by the end of it.
Yeah.
That's I like that.
I'd
like to see in Dragon's Den someone go in and ask the dragons for £250,000 in exchange for 20% at the end. Just go, fuck it, now I can't be asked.
No.
No,
I strongly encourage you to shout this down.
Good stuff.
Footballland, Footballland.
Very good. Well, that brings to a close another fantastic episode of Footballland. Keep listening, tell your friends, share it on social medias. Send us your Patreon ideas. If you have an idea for a ride, we'll read it out. It will become part of an episode. But yeah, thanks for listening. Keep the things coming. I don't know what the things are.
Keep those things coming.
We love things.
Keep those things coming.
Okay.
All right. Till next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.